What's going on YouTube? This is Luke with Endless Entrepreneurs, just coming to you guys here with another video, two in the same weekend. I know, rare occurrence. For those of you new to my channel, I am a eBay seller, Poshmark seller. I also invest in real estate, long-term rentals, and I work full-time in the corporate world, primarily in the finance industry. So I use this channel to document other people who are interested in doing the same thing, and just in general to connect with the reseller community. So hope everyone's doing well. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We are live right now, so if you're watching this for the second time, if you see me interacting with people in the comments, that's because it used to be live. Per the title, we're going to cover a couple things today. One of the big things based off a video I did on Friday, got a lot of questions via Instagram and YouTube about suppliers, talking about liquidation, where I get it from, how I'm buying in bulk. And then, I just really wanted to cover and talk about today why diversifying and having many options is a big deal. And then I also will follow it up with, I've got a box here, Jasper from Smashlots. I've mentioned him in a couple of videos, sent me a small box, just kind of as a thank you. I've done, a decent amount of business with him. And so he just sent me he was partying up smaller boxes because they actually they'll do like 100-piece boxes, 50-piece boxes. I think they do some smaller quantity ones, not just huge stuff. So this is an example for one of those. And I told him I would just unbox it and do it on the channel. It's kind of as a thank you to him too, because he's done well by me. So he's not paying me. There's no endorsement. I don't even actually get price breaks on my lots with him. But he's done good business with me. So I just wanted to full transparency there, but that's just free from him. And I'm going to wait for people to kind of roll in the chat here. So we got 14 live. If someone can just let me know they can hear me fine. It's only my second video back. I think my audio is good. It looks like it's good, but feel free to drop something in the chat. I'm probably going to jump right in because this is not going to be as long of a video as Friday night. Going to keep it to probably like 30 minutes tops. But like I said, let's just jump right in and talk about diversification with suppliers. In context, for anyone who maybe isn't familiar with me or my channel, I started as an eBay seller, doing thrift stores, doing single source stuff at Goodwills and things like that. One at a time stuff, grabbing like that. And I've now grown to I'm buying in bulk, buying pallets, pretty much buying liquidation, all new with tags items, some new without tags, but all new items. I'm not really dealing with used or things I'm just finding from thrift stores. So that's when I say diversification of suppliers. That's really what I'm going to focus on talking about now. I am going to give some parallels to like if you are more of that single source or going to Goodwills, there are ways that you also can kind of diversify and help scale that sourcing. So I'll touch on that a little bit as well. Let's first start with why. What are the reasons why you need to have more than one source as a business? What is the driving factor for why can't, I think a lot of the thing is you get comfortable, or I get comfortable with a person you buy from and it just becomes easy. But there's a huge vulnerability if you're building a business of any magnitude, no matter the size, and having just one supplier. The first is that you're giving them all the leverage. At the end of the day, if you're relying 100% on one person or one contact to give you all of your inventory that you're going to sell, the lifeblood of your whole business, you are hugely vulnerable with your business because they can adjust pricing on you and there's not much you can do. Otherwise, it's going to disrupt your business. The service could go downhill because, hey, they know they have you locked in. You have no other options. You're giving them all the leverage, and not that they're a bad person necessarily or that they would do that intentionally, but that could be a byproduct of what happens as that relationship evolves, is you're losing any leverage or equity you have in getting favorable pricing and getting quality service and getting a variety of items. That's a big deal. And to me, especially as I grow and scale, the economy of scale that comes with buying in bigger and bigger quantities, you get bigger and bigger price breaks. And if you're growing with just one person, you may not get that economy of scale that you kind of deserve as you're taking on more and more. So I think that number one, the leverage piece, is huge. And that really comes down to any aspect of business, right? Like there's a reason why people routinely put out to bid services for their business, whether it could just be janitorial, right? It could be basic office supplies, toner for printers. I'm just thinking from like a corporate perspective. There's a reason they continually put out like our requests for proposals and things like that and bid on them, because they want to make sure that one company is not gaining a ton of leverage over them. There's a reason why nobody likes to deal with Walmart, because they do not allow any type of supplier to get leverage with them. Right? They have the ultimate leverage of their supply chain. That's why they are able to drive down pricing. I mean, take away ethics or whatever you want. It's the same kind of concept of like, having a healthy balance of leverage between the parties is better than being lopsided. So kind of beat that one to death, but that's definitely number one. Number two is momentum in your business. So a thing I've ran into a couple times now is, and that's because I only really have 2 suppliers I work with, and I need to add a couple more of just different variety of things. But one thing I have run into is, right, like even right now is a perfect example. I'm in an awkward time where I have 2 orders coming over the course of this month, but one's not going to get here till like mid this week. I thought it was going to be here last week. We had some issues, some delays. And now I'm going through like a weird weekend, which is where I normally make my biggest drop-offs and pickups with, all my photographers. And I'm kind of at a standstill. And so it's really delaying my business by 4 or 5 days, right in the middle of a month, in the middle of Q4, like not the ideal situation. Now, granted, you can combat this by stocking up on inventory way more than you need, right? Maybe you have a relationship where you're buying 3 to 4 months of inventory at a time. But I mean, I don't necessarily have the cash flow to be doing that. And I'd like it to be more real time. So it's more relevant to what I'm doing. So having multiple suppliers really puts you in a position where, hey, this one got delayed, but I have this good local one who I can just call up and I can have a small order here. And at least it'll keep me going and keep that momentum. Because I think we all know that momentum is like, it's a big deal as a business that does self-fulfillment. I mean, it's big in anything, but like an Amazon versus an eBay, like with an eBay or a Poshmark, it's like getting that fresh inventory nonstop on there is a big deal. And when you stop, like you really can feel the momentum sucking back. And it hurts. So I think that's really the second biggest reason is keeping the momentum in your favor as you move forward. And there's a question in the chat just asking if I'm running out of space. I'll take that question at the end. I'll definitely do Q&A, I promise. So just hold those questions at the end and I will address them. But so number one, leverage, and number 2, momentum. Moving on, 3, this is one that's becoming more and more apparent to me, probably a more recent, it's not something that I didn't already know. It's just something that's becoming very, very apparent to me that I need to focus on. And that's product variety. So I deal pretty much exclusively with apparel. I mean, I would like 99.9% of my inventory would fall under the apparel category. That doesn't mean that I can't branch out into other niches within the apparel category. And I think that's where having multiple resellers or multiple suppliers can really, really help. Right now, I think I have like the really basic apparel stuff, not a lot of the unique, like a lot of middle of the road stuff, men's and women's, a little bit of youth. I don't have a lot of accessories. I don't have a lot of shoes. I don't have a lot of like blazer suits, things like that. I mean, there are a lot of different categories that if you had 5, 6, 7 suppliers that you could pick from and rotate through, what type of inventory you're getting, you're giving your business a much better base that as seasonality goes, all right, that you're able to kind of withstand those swings and not have the stark ups and downs of the seasons. You're able to kind of ride those out in a much more level playing field. That's becoming a bigger deal to me as I get more and more inventory. It's like, it's great. I had tons of winter stuff come in during the summer and I listed. And now it's all starting to fly off the shelf. It's fantastic. I mean, I even sold a pair of Holden snow pants. I think it was one of my Blue Lots orders from last year. Had it, and they just sold pretty much full price for it was like $140, I think, right before I started this video. So they were up for a year. But think about it, if you had multiple suppliers for all the seasons and you continually were getting them in a couple months ahead of time or a couple months after, and you're just stocking up throughout the year on each season, then eventually after you do a year of that cycle, you're never really going through a season where you don't have inventory for it and where you don't have something that's hot for that. And so I think that's a big deal, especially as like I'm kind of at that awkward growing stage where like I just have to keep doing what I'm doing for probably another 6 to 8 months. And it's really boring because I can't really, like I'm listing like 3 times as much as I'm selling every month. And so I basically am stuck doing exactly what I'm doing until that catches up, right? Until that catches up to justify making a little bit more of a leap. I think a 3x ratio of listing to selling is good when you're trying to grow and you're reinvesting. But at some point I need to get to a point where I'm more of like a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'm still growing, but I'm still have tons of cash flow, and I'm kind of at that awkward stage. So, adding those product variety, I think will help me especially, and I will help anyone bring up that sell through so that you're listing not that much incrementally over what you're selling. Someone just asked a good question about aren't wholesalers hard to get when you sell on Amazon? So it's not that I don't know if hard to get is the right word. It's hard to find products that either you're not going to be gated in, or that you just aren't able to sell on there. Like, I get a lot of the clothing brands that it's really hard for Amazon sellers to get ungated selling in. And that's why they end up being liquidated more to like a self-fulfillment type business, like an eBay or Poshmark or something like that. So I'll elaborate more on that later in the Q&A, but that's a good question. So the fourth one, so those three, so we started with leverage, momentum, and product variety. And I think those are like really the big three. And then I just got a couple other smaller ones I want to touch on here. So I think like safety of your business is another one that you really should consider. Like, if you only had one supplier and then all of a sudden that supplier lost their contract with whoever they're getting stuff from, and just tomorrow you don't have inventory coming in, like, what do you like? That's a big issue safety wise, and feeling good about your business, like you're secure about it. Like, that's a big risk to have, that one person just no longer can fulfill for you. And now your business is at a complete standstill, like just cannibalizing itself because you haven't found any fresh product. Like, that's a big deal. So I really do think that for the safety of your business, finding multiple suppliers is huge. And then a fifth one, and it's kind of like it kind of plays in with the product variety one, but it's just seeing trends. I think that having multiple suppliers who have different relationships with different vendors and different brands, I think it really helps you see the trends of what's going in and what's going out, right? Liquidation is kind of a sign of what's going out. But sometimes it's just a sign. It's either a sign of seasonality or it's a sign of trends going out. And I think it's really important to see from the different brands and the different types of items coming. I think sometimes you can tell seasonality versus trends by having those multiple views at it. So I think that's another big bonus to like trying to look ahead, and also figuring out which buys you want to make and which ones you don't based on looking at those trends. And then lastly, like, this is, to me, is just gold. And I've really, 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 really accepted this being the foundation of really any reselling business, no matter what venue you sell on, is relationships are 1000% everything. So having many supplier relationships just makes sense. Like, you never know who they know that can help you with something else you're looking for, right? Like, every good connection I have has come through someone else, pretty much. I found one on my own, and that was, like I said, from spamming liquidators. And even that kind of was through someone else. But I feel like you can't ever have enough people in your network, because you never know who can help you with what. And at the end of the day, especially with liquidation, especially with wholesaling, especially with getting good prices, especially like all those things, like, it just comes down to having a great relationship with someone, right? Like I told you, like, my main supplier that I don't share, I'm on a handshake with them. But it's because the relationship is so strong. Now, again, going back to my previous point, there's a reason to have other suppliers, because I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket with that. But I think that people really need to focus on, if you're trying to get out of that single source, like going to thrift stores, finding stuff, you're trying to find some consistent things outside there, the relationship piece is the first place to start. Like, I think my first like peek into this world was starting to get resellers who are getting out of clothing and moving to something else. I mean, they'd reach out to me and be like, hey, do you have any interest in buying all of my inventory? And they would buy it at less than thrift store prices. I mean, I've done, I think, 5 or 6 deals where I've bought out entire inventory, some from 200 pieces all the way up. I bought 1,000 pieces from someone before. And I was paying $2 a unit, right? Like $1 a unit sometimes, just because they just want to get something back for, their inventory and move on and put it into whatever they're doing. I think that's like a really good bridge into that relationship building and, trying to find those opportunities when you're not necessarily ready to make the leap to kind of pallets and, big liquidation buys like that. Adele's asking another question about, isn't liquidating against Amazon in terms of service because the products aren't itemized on the invoice? Yeah, that's what makes it tough to get ungated, right? And I'm not an Amazon expert at all, but I think that's what makes it tough to get ungated, because you can't prove that you bought it directly from the company or that you're licensed to distribute it or to sell it. Like, you have no way to prove that, because all you have is an invoice from a liquidation company who has the relationship with them. So that's what makes it very challenging for Amazon. From what I know, and I haven't really attempted it. I try not to sound like an expert on something I'm not. I don't sell on Amazon. Like, I'm not an Amazon seller. I dabbled in FBA very briefly before. I think it's a fantastic business model. I think for someone with not a lot of space, it's great. It just wasn't engaging enough for me. And that's why I've stuck with kind of self-fulfillment on the kind of the eBay side. So those are really the 6 things I wanted to hit on. And hopefully that was some ideas too for someone who really is just doing like single sourcing, Goodwill's, thrift stores. Like I think that's fantastic. By the way, I did that for 4 years. Like I loved it. I miss the thrift stores. I do. I just enjoyed growing to the scale. And I there's nothing wrong with that. I've been a lot of questions lately about suppliers and finding people, and I think people are very interested in it. And I think that these are just good ways to dabble. And when I do the unboxing here, like these small boxes too, like I feel like, and I haven't looked at this one, but in general, for most of the liquidation companies that are very public and do the small lots, I feel like it's a really good way to get exposed to buying a little more in bulk and new attack stuff without putting a ton of capital up. Yeah, you're paying a little more per unit. Like honestly, for a box like this, you're probably paying this small, and like this is self-picked, I believe. So it's like there's no flaws, there's no waste, there's no security tags, anything like that in these, because they've taken the time and the care to pack them and kind of itemize them. So you're paying probably double per unit than I'm paying when I buy in bulk. But I think it's a really good way to kind of test it out, test the waters without putting a ton of capital out there, and just get a feel for what type of product is out there and available. So why don't I'm going to answer these couple questions first. There's only a couple, and then I'm going to jump in and do the unboxing because I know that's what a lot of people want to see. And I'm kind of curious. I took the tape off it so it wasn't so loud. I've only looked at the top like item or two. I have no idea what's in here, so it'll be interesting for me. So one of the other questions was, what venues do you sell on? Which one do you sell on the most? So I sell on eBay and Poshmark only right now. eBay was always my primary kind of home site. That's what I've always built my business off of. I've just the last I think April is when I made my first Poshmark sale. The last 3 months I've done like 1,700 or more the last 3 months on Poshmark, which isn't a huge number compared to a lot of other sellers. I'm just figuring out and getting my quality of photos getting the style of my photos to be Poshmark friendly. And so a lot of my old listings just aren't that. Even though they're cross-listed, they'll sell eventually, but I mean, I'm not getting the sell-through that some of these other sellers are who are really appealing to that Poshmark audience. But yeah, those are the two platforms I sell on. And I think that was it actually. And the running out of space thing. So I haven't run out of space yet. And I just got really lucky that, and this sounds really bizarre, but during the hurricane that we had, well, we've had two actually that rolled here, but the one that was really like the bad one for here, I had a tree fall in my garage. So anybody follow me on Instagram, tree fell, just like broke in half, like 30 feet in the air, just broke in half, fell in the garage, put a big hole in the garage. And I had all of my bins and stuff in the garage, and I had a stoppage in my business. I actually have business insurance, and because stuff got wet and I couldn't get to the ship, there was a stoppage in my business. And the insurance offered to buy a shed, a temporary shed to put all my inventory into so I could keep operating and have a stoppage in business. So they were really great. I had just picked up business insurance a couple months ago. I'm so grateful I even thought to do it. They were fantastic to work with. And I think I'm paying like $50 a month. Like it's worth the peace of mind. Insures the full value of my inventory for replacement cost. So yeah, anyways, so I got this 10 by 12 shed out of it, which is the only reason I'm not running out of space now. It like came at the perfect time. Like my garage is getting packed. Like so you can see behind me, I've got like all my accessories and stuff. I'm keeping them here because they're lighter and they're just easier to kind of haul up here to this bedroom. But so that 10 by 12 space opened up a ton. I think I fit 10 of those wire rack shelving in there. So I can fit 3 times. I can fit 15 bins per shelf. So I'll get 150. Did I do the math right? Okay, 150 bins in there. So I get 150 bins. Each bin holds like 30 to 40 items or so. Sometimes more. Depends on how big they are. So yeah, I'm not running out of space simply because of that. And someone this is a good segue into the unboxing. Is someone asked if I have any wholesalers or liquidators I can share with you. So I will say, first of all, like Google is your best friend, and I don't mean that in like a mean way. Like Google, really, like Googling liquidators and wholesalers, there's an enormous amount of them. Over the last decade, they've been increasing, and the next decade, they're going to keep increasing. So that's like the best place to go because you want to find ones that are kind of local to you to reduce freight costs, make sure you can get in there quickly. The one that I always refer everyone to is the unboxing I'm about to do is for Jasper with Smashlots. I've tried Blue Lots before. Honestly, for apparel, they're just not that great. I haven't really tried any of their other stuff there. Their service is so-so. Their manifests were perfect, I have to admit, although I feel like I have a little bit of like a soured view of them now. But that's neither here nor there. But their manifests were perfect both times I got stuff from Blue Lot. So I can't complain about that. But they just don't seem to have apparel, and it's a lot of more expensive stuff, like very high-end brands. You're paying a lot more per unit. But Smashlots is the other one I've used. And like I said, Jasper's treated me pretty well. I think this is my fourth pallet, maybe fifth pallet I've ordered from. I have to go back and look. That's coming this next week. I have like an 800 unit pallet coming of men's clothing. So he's treated me well. And actually one of my other reseller friends locally has bought from him a couple times and he's enjoyed it. I've had people have said like mixed reviews, but I think there's an expectation that every piece is going to be perfect. And when you start getting into these bigger quantities, it's just not the case with liquidation. So I talked about it in my last video. You really have your expectation should be that 5 to 10% of your order might not be 100% new tags without flaws. And I still sell stuff with the flaws that I get, as long as it's, like I've sold, actually just now, I sold a pair of Columbia PFG shorts. They are missing the button and they had a small dot on the bottom, and I just sold them for $7 plus $7 to ship. So $14, instead of just throwing them away, which they were damaged, I got $14 back out of it. So it's like, it's not a horrible loss when you're getting other home runs in there. So I'm going to hold on questions though. I do want to get to the unboxing in case people are watching for that. And then I'll take more questions at the end, I promise. So you'll see like this is a smaller, I believe this is one of their smaller reseller boxes. Yeah. So I'm going to just pull each item out one at a time and we'll go through what it is and the brand, because it's all new to me. So this looks like a dress. Hopefully you guys can see it in the back. It looks to be all women's stuff. So this is Free People. Oh, so this, I had to order one of their higher end ones before, so this is what it is. And this is a good example, guys. Like a lot of them, they come with, and you probably can't see the lighting so bad. Sorry. So they usually come with a clearance sticker, so you have to take it off. And the way that I do things here is I actually take this off, and I don't even leave a price on. So like when I list stuff for eBay, I don't leave the price on there, because a lot of times you got to realize with inventory, even if the retail price is $15, if people don't have it in that area of the country, you can get a lot more than it for sometimes. I sell stuff way above retail all the time on eBay. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I have no idea what this will sell for. I'm not going to do the research right now, but I guarantee you Free People dress like this should be an easy $40 sale, I'm going to guess, unless Free People has gone off the deep end, which I don't think it has. And this is all right, so this is Bar 3, which I believe is like a middle of the road mall brand. I'm pretty sure. It looks like just like a top of some kind of full zip top. I have no idea what this will sell for. I did get a couple of these in a different lot that I've listed. I think these are like middle of the road, probably like, and again, this one, here's a good example. So this is the other thing you'll get sometimes is you'll get these tags that say customer return label on them. So these were items that were returned and then they were retagged. And so this is another example of liquidation. And in my case, I normally just chop right off above that and just keep the rest of the tag. And I'm curious if I can get the retail price in it. So this was originally $59.50. So $60 original retail. I mean, this is probably a $25 average sale price item, including shipping. I'm trying to see, yeah, $59.50. Someone said Free People hit or miss. Yeah, I mean, probably used especially hit or miss because market's probably getting saturated. That's what always happens to hot brands. But I would say new with tags would be a lot easier to move. Someone asked us how my women's clothing sell-through is. It's pretty solid. It just depends. Like I sell a lot of Under Armour now. I get a lot of Under Armour, a lot of Nike. And so that sell-through is just good with everything. But when I'm buying like some of the stuff from Jasper, from Smashlots, like a lot of it's like Macy's type brands. The women's stuff's a little slower with that, but I still get decent sell-through with it. So here's Lucky Brands. So this is like I guess this is a blouse. Yeah, long sleeve. Got like one of those little keyhole things. And again, here's, it's got the Macy's return. Oops, sorry. Got the Macy's return label sticker. So this was definitely from Macy's. I would guess most of this lot was from there. And it's got the retail in the front. I would rip this off, and then I usually mark this with a Sharpie. I don't even bother to take the tag off with a Peely's thing or anything, just black marker. And again, I'm not going to guess at prices, guys. I just want to show you kind of what comes in some of these smaller boxes and what brands are out there for liquidation. Like any of you can go to Smashlots today and order this stuff. I'm not telling you to, by the way. I want to really be firm about this. I think that sometimes people do videos of things and are pushing it. I buy from there because it makes sense for my business model. I don't know that everyone should do that. So I just get a lot of questions about how can I get started in it or how can I try it, and I feel like these small boxes are a really good way. So it looks like a dress. It's Rachel. Got like a backless thing there. So this is Rachel Roy. It's another Macy's brand. You can see the tag there. Yeah, so Rachel Roy. This was originally $100. It's marked down to $17.96 was their final clearance. Again, I would just probably chop that off. I've sold a couple of these Rachel Roy dresses. It was in a previous lot for between like $40 and $50. So that's pretty solid one right there. They packed quite a bit into here. Jeepers, I better get moving a little faster. Here's another of the Bar 3. I'm guessing it's called the Bar 3. I don't know if they're... But just another top like that. Again, retail is... tags are... Retail is $59.50. So these seem to be... Like, anytime like $60 retail and like kind of those middle of the road mall brands, you can expect like a third of it, like anywhere between like $20 to $25 shipped. When you get into the hotter brands, you can get closer to 50% of retail, but it's like the middle of the road brands seem to get like a third of retail, it seems like, from just my experience. So here's Guess. So like this will sell faster. It's a skirt. My guess, let me see if there's retail on here. Yeah, retail is $69. So like this is something where I would expect to get like 30 to 35 for this. Drummer, I don't know what the average sell price per every unit is. I can just speak to the brands I've sold that I've bought. Some of these brands I haven't sold before, like Mason Jewels. I've never heard of it and I've never sold it. I mean, I'll definitely do my research on it, but I can tell you from retail, general rule of thumb, $59.50. I haven't heard of this brand. My guess is this is like a $20 item, $20, maybe $25 shipped. Yeah, and when I'm saying prices, like I mean like all in, like shipping costs and everything. I charge shipping, so that's just how I talk about it. Here's a Max Studio London. It's like a blouse of some kind. Retail is $78. I have no idea. I would probably be somewhere like 30 for this, maybe 35. And do the research on your own, guys, too. Like I'm literally just pulling numbers on my head right now based on experience. Here's another Free People dress, long sleeve dress. I said retail on this was $128. So I mean, I gotta believe that. I don't know if this is a dress or if this is a tunic. Actually, this might be like a long sleeve tunic. Sorry, I might have misspoke. And again, I'm actually pretty bad at keywords now. It's funny. So I haven't done like my own draft listing from start to finish in quite a few months. So it's funny. Thank goodness. One VA is she's a rock star with titles and writing. She has a writing background. Her descriptions are on point all the time. So I learned from when I set prices live, looking at her listings, they're just so good. So here's Lucky Brand. Again, this is marked down to $15.93. Lucky Brand stuff, I've been selling the new attack stuff anywhere from like high 20s to low to mid 30s. There's like the shirts. Just depends on the style and the design. Yeah, Drummer just said wholesale lots are good for learning new brands. Yeah, I totally agree. Absolutely there. What do we got here? Here's another Bar 3. And this is a dress. I'm pretty sure this is a dress. Yeah. I like the dresses. The dresses always sell well in any brand. I mean, even like I've sold a lot of Alfani dresses. Like I said, the Rachel Roy dresses. I'm trying to think some of the other brands, like kind of that lower end Macy's brand stuff. But if they're in the dress, if they're dresses, they just seem to sell well if they're new tags. Here's another one of those Mason Jewels ones. Retail for this $79.50. Yeah, so I would say this is like that second tier, like slightly above the $60 retail stuff. Oh, and this is the last item. So this is another Bar 3. This is like a jacket. Yeah, retail is $99.50. So it's like a faux leather with like that waterfall look on the front. So this I would probably put up for like 50. Coats, especially this season, I think that also depends on your pricing. Like right now in this season, it's coat season. I'm putting that for 50% retail pretty much all day. I would put that for $49.99 with shipping. Just see what happens. I just want to see what's on the sheet in here. See if there's any more description I can give you guys. Yeah, Yeah, so there's 13 items in this little box. You probably, if you bought a 100 unit lot, you're expecting probably, 8 of these boxes would come bundled together. The advantage of these is these are definitely like self-picked. You can see like none of those had flaws in them. None of them had security tags, anything like that. So it's not bad. And so someone just said the last 700 piece lot I got from Macy's is about $343 per piece plus sizes. That's a great price. Did that include shipping? So usually I find that to be about normal for the Macy's stuff, but then you're paying shipping to get it to you. So that usually adds another 50 cents per unit at least. So yeah, like that $4 to $5 price range. It just depends what tier you get with Macy's, and it depends if it's manifested or unmanifested. So the unmanifested tends to be kind of there. The manifested stuff usually runs you a little more expensive. And that price point for Macy's, you're likely getting a lot of Karen Scott, Alfani, kind of like the lower end Macy's plus size brands, like Celebrity Pink, I think is what some of them. I've done 2 of those type of lots before. But yeah, like, I mean, that price point, like I said, like it's out there, right? Like in a lot of cases, it can be cheaper than thrift stores if you're doing it right. The difference is you're not single sourcing, picking the hottest brands with these giant margins, right? You're buying for $4, $5, $6, $7, $8. You're flipping for 20, 25, 30, 35, and occasionally you get the home run item. Instead of when you go to Goodwill and you source 20 items and you bought them all for $5 or $4, and half of them are going to flip for 50, right? That's the difference in the model. So. We're coming up on a half hour though. I also want to get to that box, so hopefully you guys had a kind of a peek at what you can get. These are definitely the smaller ones. I've ordered some bigger lots that have some of those brands in there. I've ordered some bigger lots that have none of those brands in there. So there's just a variety there. The Smashlots website is pretty helpful. I just tell everyone to contact Jasper directly, though. He's told me I can tell people that. It's just easier. He kind of brokers and handles the process, schedules the shipping, like does all that stuff for you. Especially if you're new to it, it's nice because like I handle a lot of my own shipping now with my other supplier, and I help set it up and all that stuff. But like when you're new to it, it's kind of overwhelming to have pallets shipped to you or have any order shipped to you. So he's very helpful when it comes to that. Oh, so so person who has bought Macy's in the chat just said that shipping was free from Ohio as they were having a special that they're in Texas. That's great. Yeah, if you get a special or you get free shipping at $3.43 per piece, yeah, and for plus size clothing, that's a steal. You got to jump on that. So Doris, yeah, I think that's probably why Jasper sent this to me, is he wanted you guys to be able to see that there are small lots. I don't really dabble in the small ones just because of the volume that I'm doing, but they definitely have them on there. I see 100-piece lots on there all the time. It's definitely you're paying up for the smaller lots because they're handpicked, right? So you're paying more per unit. So I just want to give that last disclaimer, like, I'm not telling you to go to Smashlots. I'm just trying to answer questions as transparently as I can. Like I use them. I personally use them. I personally have an order coming this week. I don't really get any discounted pricing. He definitely alerts me when a good lot comes in that he thinks I'll like, which is kind of the relationship piece. But like there's no kickbacks. Like I don't get anything if you go order from them. I just don't like referral programs because it feels like it's not authentic for me and it doesn't really do much for me. So just want to be very clear about that. And no, I don't have a Facebook group. Someone just asked, I'm sorry. I only have so much of my time. I would love to do a Facebook group. I would love to, do more of like kind of the close off groups, the mentoring. I've had a lot of requests for mentoring lately, which is very flattering and humbling. I just don't have the time because I work full time. If I was doing reselling full time and was spending 50, 60 hours just on that, and then I had after hours to work on stuff, I would definitely probably do things like that. YouTube is about the only thing I have time for, and this is the best way I can reach a lot of people. So hopefully that makes sense. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, especially on Sunday night. I still have to finish shipping tonight, so I'm going to bounce here in a minute. If there aren't any other questions, I don't see any other ones that have come through. I think someone asked what my average sale price is, and I got to tell you, it's moved a lot, but it's got to be pretty close to the $30 mark at this point because it's been going up. I was in like mid-September, I was floating right around $28 as my average sale price, which I think is pretty solid. But I think I've crossed. I'm finishing up my P&L right now, like I said, to talk to my accountant this probably in the next 2 weeks. So I will have a really good idea what my average sell price is by then. All right, guys, have an awesome night. Thank you so much for stopping in. If you know someone who you think would benefit from this, feel free to share the video. I always appreciate that. If you want to see more of my videos, hit the subscribe button on your way out, and definitely hit the like button because YouTube liked videos. So I'd appreciate that support. And always can drop me any questions in the comments. I'm usually pretty good at getting back within like a couple days. I usually answer them in batches, so don't be offended if it takes me a couple days to respond. You always can hit me on Instagram, Endless Entrepreneurs. I respond to direct messages pretty quickly. So have an awesome night, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it, and hopefully you guys find some good deals this week. See ya.